Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. Just want to share a little fact with you. There's a British bank. I say British, it's a Spanish bank, but it's in the UK. It's very popular. Do you know what that bank is? You probably have an account with them. Anyway, cut to the chase. They are closing many branches throughout the UK. They give their reasons why they're doing this. But could Santander be the first bank to go completely bust and bankrupt? Have you given any thought to this? The financial crash is coming. Or, another word, the tribulation. But for economists, they call it the financial crash because they don't bring religion into it. Now, you must be aware of how many videos are on the internet at the moment regarding this coming crash. So people are greatly worried about it. So if one bank was to completely go bust, would this have a knock-on effect for the rest? Now, I want you to recall when there was a bit of a scare with the Northern Rock Bank. And did you notice how many people were panicking on that particular day and how many were trying to get their money out? And did you notice that the Northern Rock was not even being helpful and not allowing them to take their money out? When there's a financial crash, and that's exactly what the banks will do, you will not be able to get your money out. It'll just be locked. They'll just shut up shop. Now that leads me to another question. All these questions. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Ask the questions and you get your answers. So the other question is, when the tribulation kicks in, will you still bother to post on YouTube? Well, that's a difficult question to answer because we really don't know what services are going to be affected. We don't know whether, when the tribulation kicks in, whether sort of your essential services will virtually come to an end. I mean, if people are not going to get paid money, then they're not going to go to work, are they? So I would quite envision that the army will still be paid because they will have to keep martial law and keep people in their place. I mean, should we now be a little frightened about what's likely to happen? The financial crash occurs, all currencies become worthless, gold and silver becomes worthless, but food and water becomes precious. And because everybody wants food and water, it's in short supply. So what happens then? Does mankind indeed start fighting in the streets over food and water just to stay alive? Quite possibly, that is where it could go. I mean, the tribulation is going to be such a bad thing because the Bible makes it quite clear that if it carries on, no flesh survives. And so God has to intervene at some point through the tribulation, probably halfway through. I don't expect the tribulation to last a long time, but maybe 3.5 years it might last. But somewhere through that time, God is going to step in and cut it short. So how bad are things going to get? Are people going to resort to... You've got to remember that there'll be no police. There'll be only the army, and maybe they'll just shoot people there on the streets who are up to law-breaking activities. So what about living from day to day during the tribulation? How are you going to get by? Are you going to form a group? Are you going to sort of decide to get that close bond group together? This is what the Preppers Society were saying. You say you form your group, you look after your group, and within that group you only look after the members of that group. They reckon that that's the best way to survive when there's tough times ahead. Yeah, Preppers UK and Preppers USA. Yeah, they're all over the place now. Should we now be really worried? Do you feel as if, from your research about the Great Depression of the 1929 and what led up to it, that we're almost in a repeat system of things? It's almost like what's happening at the moment is what happened just before the Great Depression. It wasn't just the stock market that caused the Great Depression. There were 3 or 4 other factors to consider. I believe that agriculture and the infrastructure was breaking down. And there was a lot of other things. And when the stock market finally crashed, it was because people were lending past the point of being able to pay back. And that this is almost scaringly like what it is now. Yes, I do expect there to be a financial crash. And I feel that as each day goes by, we're one step closer and one day closer to that particular time. I haven't made any preparations at the moment. I haven't got any extra supplies in, like a year's supply of food and water. And the reason why I haven't done that is because I don't know if I want to live during the tribulation period. It might get so bad that I might just think, what's the point? And that leads me to another little point. Some of the current Jehovah's Witnesses who are not quite cutting the grade, they're also thinking like this. They're thinking, well, I might not make it. My Christian lifestyle isn't exactly exemplary. Should I decide to take my life now before the tribulation? And this is the thinking of what has happened with some of the suicides that we've learnt about over the last 3 or 4 years. And it's quite frightening, isn't it, that a person's thinking has gone that way. Yes, there's many things that we need to consider at the moment. But I hope that you're all keeping the ones that you love, not just your partners, but your close friends. I'm hoping that you keep them close to you, because I think you're going to need them. We're all going to need each other. I'm going to look after my sister, and I will look after my mother, because, I wouldn't have it on my conscience otherwise. And they're the thoughts that I wanted to share with you today, because a lot of things are going through my mind at the moment. I still count myself a very lucky person. I do have a really good job and no debts. So I am very lucky in that regard. But I believe that material things, they'll mean nothing in the end. You'll trade it all in for a loaf of bread and a glass of water if it meant staying alive. Yes, thank you. Thank you for listening.